guys, and welcome to Cycling Hub TV. Today we have a very special interview. We have Ben Dilley from Team Novo Nordisk. How are you going, Ben?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thanks for coming on. Today we have my co-commentators, Jesper, Anker, and Bobson on the other line.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
So, Ben, we're very happy to have you on here today. We watched your speech in Copenhagen last November at the World Diabetes Day, and we thought that your life story was so inspirational for us that if you can give a summarized version of that to our audience, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to kind of give you a brief history about myself. So, I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska in the U.S. I come from a pretty big family. I've got six siblings, so I'm one of seven. But when I was about 14 years old, my younger sister Sarah was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and within 8 months, my younger brother was also diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. This was all completely new to me. My family has never had diabetes in our family at all. And then in March of 2006, I myself at age 14 was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So it was a big change. You know, I had an original life goal of one day being in the United States Air Force. I had always dreamed of flying fighter jets, and this was something I had planned on doing since I was about 7, 8 years old. I had taken all the necessary steps to pursue that goal, and then to be diagnosed with type 1 diabetes really crushed me because I knew at that moment my dream was gone. So, you know, after I was diagnosed, I really had no goal, no direction. I really wasn't sure what to do with my life. And, you know, I didn't want to be different. I wanted to still be Ben Dilley, but because I had diabetes, I felt like this disease defined me. And it was in one particular instance when I was going to my healthcare provider that I heard about Phil Sutherland. He had a team of professional cyclists, and they were competing in the race across America. But there was something different about this team, that all the athletes had type 1 diabetes, and this was a completely different perspective that I never had before. You know, and I watched this team not just compete to raise awareness, but to compete to win, and they broke the world record in that race. And for me, it just completely changed my perspective. I realized I didn't have to be defined by the disease anymore. You know, it didn't have to limit me. It didn't have to be who I was. You know, and I'd always loved cycling, and when I'd heard about Phil and what he was doing, I knew at that moment that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to take my cycling to the next level and become a professional. But it takes a lot of hard work. And, you know, I emailed Phil pretty straight away and told him my goal and my dream. And he was very encouraging. And, you know, he told me to set an intermediate goal of pursuing the Team Novo Nordisk development team. So from then on out, you know, I bought my first road bike, was training in earnest, doing everything I could to pursue that goal. In 2012, I received a contract offer to race for the Team Novo Nordisk development team. So I moved from Lincoln, Nebraska to the south of the U.S. in Alpharetta, Georgia, and spent the whole 2013 season traveling the U.S. and as well as international, just competing and racing, really improving as an athlete. And then in the fall of 2013, you know, is when my dream really became a reality, and Phil Sutherland offered me a professional contract. You know, it was pretty crazy to think that only 8 years ago I was receiving the news that I had type 1 diabetes, and my original dream was over. And to now be sitting there and having Phil tell me, look, you now have the opportunity to be a professional cyclist. It was pretty awesome, you know, completely life changed for me.
Definitely understand.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty inspirational stuff. Like, I was like, when I was watching that video, I was like amazed. If you guys haven't watched that video, you guys are listening, I recommend you guys to listen to it. It really, you know, it just woke me up a bit. So one question I want to ask you is, like, what made you choose cycling? Because did you cycle a lot growing up? Was there like a moment, like, because there's other things, I think you can do running with Novo Nordisk, triathlon. What made you choose cycling in general?
Sure. So as I said, you know, I'd always loved riding my bike, but, you know, I was watching Phil and his team compete in the race across America that really kind of drew me into professional cycling. In the U.S., we have lots of sports, and specifically, like you mentioned, with Team Novo Nordisk, we have a triathlon team, we have a running team, a mountain bike team. I love cycling. I love road cycling. I tend to be a very focused, very competitive person. So, you know, competing in a peloton, racing for the win, that's just who I am. And, you know, to be able to watch that, and I knew right away that's what I want to do. I want to be a part of that. You know, I'm very competitive, and I love to duke it out in the races and the sprints, and so it was definitely something that fit me perfectly.
Yep. See, now I want to know, how do you practice when you're in Lincoln, Nebraska? Because I spent a year of my life in Nebraska, so I know what Nebraska looks like. Yeah, I was a foreign exchange student last year, so like Nebraska's all flat. How do you really practice in Lincoln, Nebraska?
Well, to be honest, I don't spend a lot of time in Nebraska anymore because, as I'm sure you're aware, it's basically flat, straight roads, a lot of wheat, and a lot of corn. So I've actually relocated to the west, and I live in Colorado now. So I have the mountains, I have the altitude. Not quite as flat, but Nebraska will always be home. But yeah, I definitely realize that I have to go somewhere else to train as I need to as a professional.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So,
So I've seen you've done the Tour of Rwanda last year. You did some American races. What's this season going to be like? What's your goals for this season? Do you have like a schedule in mind what you're going to be racing at? Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been it's still really early in the season. So I've been working with the team managers and team directors to kind of lay out what my program will look like for the year. It's going to be a big year. I mean, there's a lot of races, a lot of opportunities, and for me personally, my goal is just to improve as an athlete and be a better teammate. I'm still really new. This is only my second year as a professional, and this sport is hard. Going up against some of the best athletes, best cyclists in the world, and so for me, it's just I have to appreciate the process. I want to be good. I want to be the one leading out for the team, but I know it's going to take time. So my major goals this year is just to be a better teammate. If I can get back to the car more to get bottles for my teammates, if I can help set them up for the sprint in the end. Anything that I can do to help the team succeed and learn in the process and get better as an athlete is really kind of my ultimate goal for this season.
That's very honorable. That's for sure.
I appreciate it.
So, you ride the professional peloton, so you meet a lot of new people every day, or at least every stage. Who are some of your favorite riders to talk to or ride with or just be with on the team or in the peloton in general?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, last year I had the opportunity to race the Tour of Utah, and which was one of Jens Voigt's last races of his career. And so for me, it was cool to say that I got to line up with Jens. I mean, he's definitely a character, off the bike and on the bike, and to see what he was like in the peloton, he's exactly the same. I have a lot of respect for him. He's an incredible individual, an incredible athlete, and his record attests to that. So it was definitely an honor to even just line up with him. I have a lot of respect for a lot of those athletes out there. I mean, you have the likes of Fabian Cancellara and Peter Sagan. I really respect the classics riders because it takes really a well-rounded rider to be good in those type of events. Now, I haven't lined up with those guys, and I hope to at some point, but definitely watching them race and studying their tactics and how they compete against not only the competition but also compete to win. So those are some of my idols, if you will, and people that I hope to someday, to pursue their path and hopefully be like them. But definitely racing with Jens Voigt was an honor for me for sure.
Understand that. Yep. Bob, do you have anything you want to ask?
Well, I just was thinking that the way you said that your biggest goal for this season were just to help, that's really, you don't see that in a lot of other American sports, at least. Like a lot of you watch the telly a little bit, and they pretty much every guy you ask, they say, well, I think I'm going to score 30 points, or, I'm a point per game hockey player. Like, it's really, what I love about cycling, and especially you see this in, with teams like Novo Nordisk, is just the team spirit of it and the way everybody just works towards, the greater good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the thing that I've learned, and something I really appreciate about this sport is it's very tough. I mean, it's unlike I guess some of the American sports like basketball and football, where it's about getting a touchdown, putting the ball in the hoop. Cycling is really all about who can take the most pain, who can suffer the most, and so it's everybody has a job. I think sometimes people don't understand how much team is involved in cycling, and everybody needs to participate and do their work, and we have an ultimate goal. We have one guy that we're working for, but so if that one guy can succeed, then we've all done our job. And so there's nothing, for me personally, there's no greater feeling than knowing that I contributed. I gave 100%. If my contribution is to just get water bottles and help our guy win, that's great. If one day my contribution is to win the stage, I'd love to. I love to win. But our ultimate goal as a team is to show that we can compete at the highest level, and whatever way I can do that, that's my goal.
Well, Team Novo Nordisk said that in 2021 you wanted to be a Tour de France wildcard team. How are you guys going to achieve that goal?
That's a big goal, isn't
A
it?
very big one.
Yeah.
One doesn't just jump right into Tour de France. We have a great sponsor in Novo Nordisk and some great team staff and management here. And so we've been very clear in what we need to do to reach that level. And so we've got some very clear metrics as far as, how many results we need to get, what races we need to get into. So for us as athletes and for us as a team, as well as with our sponsor, we have a pretty clear plan. And so obviously, stuff doesn't always go to plan, but we're going to do everything we can, and we don't quit. We want to achieve that goal, and we're going to work as hard as we can to hopefully in 2021 be in the Tour de France.
Sounds good. Best of luck with that goal. Could be a big one.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to ask is, certainly we see like Novo Nordisk as a team riding. I'm sure they help a lot with the community, promoting diabetes. Can you explain how they do this and how they help the community, especially encourage new younger athletes? Do you guys run programs or anything like that? Or
Yeah, so Team Novo Nordisk's mission is to inspire, educate, and empower people with diabetes. And we as athletes get to be that platform. Our jerseys have the words "changing diabetes" written across them. And so at races, we get the opportunity to talk with fans, we get the chance to meet kids with diabetes. And for me personally, that's a huge part of what I do because I was there. I was at that point where I was diagnosed. I didn't know what was next for me. And to have the opportunity to be an athlete, to be competing, but also have the chance to reach out to other people that are also dealing with the disease is very fulfilling for me. You're not always going to have the best days on the bike, but to know that you might be impacting somebody's life is really important. Novo Nordisk gives us the opportunity to do that. They have a bigger mission, the Changing Diabetes mission, and we're definitely a part of that. We're a component of it. Something we take very seriously, something that we're very passionate about. And so with the pro cycling team that we have an incredible platform to really reach out to these people with diabetes and make a difference.
Yep. Sounds good. So if one wanted to be a professional cyclist, how would they do that? I know you contacted Phil Sutherland. How would another guy do it? Because if they don't have diabetes, they couldn't join Novo Nordisk, could they?
Right. We're the world's first all diabetes professional cycling team. So you're correct in that statement.
Okay. Because otherwise it would be kind of difficult. Because you've seen Team Mount Quebec, they went from an all South African team to a more mixed now. Would Novo Nordisk ever do that?
Right now our main goal is to be that all diabetes professional cycling team. We really have a mission that we stand by. Novo Nordisk supports us, and so our goal is to show the world that as athletes with type 1 diabetes, we can achieve our goals that we set out to work towards, and that's kind of the main mission of the team.
Yep, respect you for that. That's good again.
Yeah, that's really something. When you look at a cycling team, whether you like the way they race or not, usually, or with any team, they're in it to win. They're in it to do their jobs, and that's not really a problem. But what's great about seeing a team like Novo Nordisk that's so inspirational is that they do have that other goal. That's what captures me, at least.
Yeah, and like I said, for me, it's I've had more bad days on the bike than I've had good, if I'm honest. And so there's definitely days where you're just frustrated. The race didn't go as planned, your form isn't where it needs to be. You made some mistakes, but to know that we're racing for something bigger, it's so important. We have the Changing Diabetes message on our jersey, and so when we get to talk to people, we get to share with them the bigger message. That, with proper control, you can manage your diabetes, you can pursue your goals. And so to have that in the back of your mind when you're racing and things aren't going as planned, it definitely changes your perspective and helps you, be in the right frame of mind and really pursue what we're trying to do as a team on and off the bike.
So what you're saying is you're trying to give everyone a bit of hope. If
exactly.
Have diabetes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. You also said you have many days on the bike. Can you run us through one of those days? Like, when do you wake up, when do you go to bed, what do you eat, and such like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can just share with you kind of what we're doing right here at camp. So I typically get up around 7 in the morning. So we have breakfast here at the hotel. I'll eat my breakfast, and then we're out on training on the bikes by 9:30. So right now we're doing about 5 to 6 hour training rides, really hard. So you come back and you're pretty exhausted. But we've got a great location where we're at. So we've got recovery food. Our mechanics, our 1 year is always right there to to get us what we need as soon as we come back. And so we're getting our recovery. We've got a great Swan-Year staff, so we're getting massages right after we get our food. And then it's honestly, take a nap. We'll get some dinner later in the evening, and we do have some meetings. Working to improve as a team from a staff and management's perspective. So we'll knock out some of those, and then it's back to bed, and we start the process all over again.
Sounds like you have a stacked schedule.
It's definitely busy.
So I think we'll end with one final question. I think I want to ask you, what tips would you give for an athlete who's up and coming and really wants to make it the next step to the pro scene? Like, what tips would you give? What 3 tips, let's say?
Sure, absolutely. Well, just from an athletic standpoint and professional cycling, the thing I've learned is that you've got to work hard. I mean, people will tell you that, you'll hear it all the time, but hard work will pay off. You've got to trust the process. Success doesn't come overnight, and I'm learning that myself. It takes years and years of just constant effort, constant work. When the sun's not out, when it's raining, when it's cold, you're still out there putting in those base miles. You're still training. For me personally, it's really important that I have that end goal in mind. Where am I trying to go? What am I doing? Why am I out here suffering in the freezing rain? So if I can have that end goal in mind, that's what keeps me motivated. If professional cycling is your goal, keep that in mind. Don't ever forget that. Put reminders on your wall at home. Do whatever it takes to stay motivated, so that when the time is tough, you're still out there, you're still committed. Don't give up, because if you put in the work, you'll get there.
Yep, good words. So if you're out there wanting to be a professional cyclist, keep that in mind. But Ben, thank you very much for being on here. On the rope, is there anyone you'd like to say thanks to, or plug, or any social media you'd like to announce to the world?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to you guys. It's been a real pleasure to get the chance to talk with you. For all those listening, check us out on social media. TeamNovoNordisk.com is our website. Feel free to give us a follow and see what we're doing, because we're really working hard. We're really working to change diabetes.
Oh, sounds good. So thank you very much, Ben, once again, and best of luck with the 2015 season.
Cheers. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed that. It was a very inspirational story. Again, go follow Ben, and look forward to see you this season. So see you later, guys.